Chapter 4. Is God not more pleased with me these last few days? Yes, He is pleased because you are striving more to give Him pleasure. Have you noticed His goodness and special watchfulness over you? Has He not also given you much joy these days? He will always act like that towards you. The more you do for Him, the more He will do for you. I am so happy to see that you are really beginning to love God, who is so good, and to work seriously at your perfection. If by remaining a little longer in purgatory I could obtain that you should arrive at the perfection God demands of you in order to accomplish His designs, I would willingly bear that suffering. Never look back to examine your conduct in the past. Leave it entirely in the hands of God and go steadily forward. Your life must be summed up in 2 words: love and sacrifice. Sacrifice from morning to night, but always with love. If only you knew what God is, there is no sacrifice that you would not be willing to make, no suffering that you would not endure for Him. If you could see Him for but 1 minute, you would be perfectly satisfied and consoled. What then must it be to see Him for all eternity? There is no middle course for you. Some souls might save themselves in other ways, but not you. You will either be a great saint or a great sinner. The choice is yours. Do you remember how a long time ago, during one of your first retreats, you were much impressed by these words? There are some souls for whom there is no middle way. They will either be angels or devils. Apply that to yourself. You know that these words are meant for you. August 13th. I have many things to say to you that only you and the Father will understand. Have you thought of thanking God for having sent Him to you? Pray for Him every day. What is the best way of honoring Saint Michael? The best and most efficacious way of glorifying Him in heaven and honoring Him on earth is to spread devotion to the souls in purgatory, and to make known the great mission He fulfills towards these suffering souls. It is He who is entrusted by God to lead the souls to the place of expiation, and to bring them to their eternal home after purification. Each time a soul arrives to increase the number of the elect, God is glorified. And this glory in some way communicates itself also to the celestial minister. It is an honor for him to present to our Lord the souls that will sing their thanks and His mercies through all eternity. I could never make you understand the intense love which the heavenly archangel has for his divine master, and the love which God in his turn has for Saint Michael. Neither can I convey to you a true idea of the love and pity Saint Michael has for us. He encourages us in our sufferings by speaking to us of heaven. Tell the Father that if he wishes to please Saint Michael, he will most earnestly recommend devotion to the souls in purgatory. People in the world do not think of it. When they have lost their relatives or friends, they say a few prayers, weep for a few days, and that is the end of it. The souls are henceforth abandoned. It is true that they merit this, for while they were on earth they neglected the dead. The divine judge deals with us in this world according to our actions in the former. Those who have forgotten the holy souls are forgotten in their turn. This is only fair. Perhaps if they had been reminded to pray for the dead and had been told a little about purgatory, they might have acted differently. When God allows it, we can communicate directly with Saint Michael in the way that spirits communicate. How do they celebrate the feast of Saint Michael in purgatory? On that day Saint Michael comes to purgatory and returns to heaven with a great number of souls, especially with those who had been devout to him in life. What glory does Saint Michael receive from his feast day on earth? When the feast of a saint is celebrated on earth, he receives an increase of accidental glory in heaven, even if he is not actually remembered on earth. He receives a special recompense in memory of some particular act of heroic virtue, or of some increase of glory, which he procured for God at a given time. This reward consists in an increase of accidental glory, joined to the happiness which the memory of his work on earth causes him. The accidental glory which the archangel receives is far above that of the other saints, because this glory is proportioned to the greatness of the merit of the recipient, and also to the value of the action which merits the reward. Do you know what happens on earth? I only know what happens in so far as God wills it. My knowledge is very limited. I have known a little about the community, but that is all. I know nothing about what goes on in the souls of other people, except in your case. That is because God allows this for your perfection. What I have sometimes told you about certain persons and what I will tell you, I only know from God at the moment. For example, I do not know what is God's will in regard to your father's parents. Perhaps later on I may know. I will pray to God for them and recommend them to Saint Michael. I can tell you about the different degrees of purgatory, because I have passed through them. In the great purgatory there are several stages. In the lowest and most painful, like a temporary hell, are the sinners who have committed terrible crimes during life, and whose death surprised them in that state. It was almost a miracle that they were saved, and often by the prayers of holy parents or other pious persons. Sometimes they did not even have time to confess their sins, and the world thought them lost. But God, whose mercy is infinite, gave them at the moment of death the contrition necessary for their salvation on account of one or more good actions which they performed during life. For such souls, purgatory is terrible. It is a real hell with this difference, that in hell they curse God, whereas we bless him and thank him for having saved us. Next to these come the souls, who, though they did not commit great crimes like the others, were indifferent to God. They did not fulfill their Easter duties, and were also converted at the point of death. Perhaps they were unable to receive Holy Communion. They are in purgatory for the long years of indifference. They suffer unheard of pains and are abandoned either without prayers, or if they are said for them, they are not allowed to profit by them. There are in this stage of purgatory religious of both sexes, who were tepid, neglectful of their duties, indifferent towards Jesus, also priests who did not exercise their sacred ministry with the reverence due to the sovereign majesty, and who did not instill the love of God sufficiently into the souls confided to their care. I was in this stage of purgatory. In the second purgatory are the souls of those who died with venial sins not fully expiated before death, or with mortal sins that have been forgiven, but for which they have not made entire satisfaction to the divine justice. In this part of purgatory there are also different degrees according to the merits of each soul. Thus the purgatory of the consecrated souls, or of those who have received more abundant graces, is longer and far more painful than that of ordinary people of the world. Lastly, there is the purgatory of desire, which is called the threshold. Very few escape this. To avoid it altogether, one must ardently desire heaven and the vision of God. That is rare, rarer than people think, because even pious people are afraid of God and have not therefore a sufficiently strong desire of going to heaven. This purgatory has its very painful martyrdom like the others. The deprivation of the sight of our loving Jesus adds to the intense suffering. Do you know each other in purgatory? Yes, in the manner in which souls know. There are no names in the other world. You cannot compare purgatory and earth. When the soul is free and released from its mortal shell, its name is buried in the grave with the body. I can only give you a small insight into the nature of purgatory. By the light which God gives you, you are better able to understand it than others. But what is all that to the reality? Here we are lost in the will of God, whereas on earth, no matter how great the saint is, self-will always has a certain hold on him. As for us, We now have no more self-will at all. We know and realize only that which it pleases God to let us know, nothing more. Do you speak to each other in purgatory? Souls communicate with each other when God permits it, and after the manner of souls, but without words. Yes, it is true I speak to you, but are you a spirit? Would you understand me if I did not pronounce words? But for myself, as God wills it so, I understand you without your pronouncing any words with your lips. There is communication between spirits and souls on earth. Thus, when you have a good thought or a holy desire, they have been communicated to you by your guardian angel or by some saint, and sometimes by God himself. That is the language of souls. Where is purgatory situated? It is in the center of the earth, close to hell, as you saw one day after Holy Communion. The large number of souls there are confined to a limited space. There are thousands and thousands of souls there. But then, what space does a soul occupy? Each day thousands of souls come to purgatory, and most of them remain 30 to 40 years, some for longer periods, others for shorter. I tell you this in terms of earthly calculations, because here it is quite different. Oh, if people only knew and understood what purgatory is and what it means to know that we are here through our own fault. I have been here 8 years, and it seems to me like 10,000. Oh my God, tell all this to the Father, so that he may learn from me what this place of suffering is like, and may make it better known in the future. He will be able to find out for himself how profitable it is to have a great devotion to the holy souls in purgatory. God often accords more graces through the intercession of these suffering souls than through the prayers of the saints. Let the Father, when he wishes to be sure of obtaining what he wants, ask the souls who have loved Our Lady most. These, in consequence, she wishes most of all to release. He will see whether his prayer is heard or not. There are some souls who do not live continually in purgatory itself. For instance, I accompany you wherever you go, but while you rest during the night, I suffer more, because then I am actually in purgatory. The Father was very right when he told you never to seek anything but the holy will of God in all you do. To see his will in all that happens to you, whether in sorrow or in joy, will be for your happiness. Oh, be doubly good in order to give pleasure to God, who is so good, who is so particularly good to you. Have the eyes of your soul always open to anticipate his least wishes. Be beforehand with him, as it were, to give him pleasure. The more you try to please him, the more he will give you. He will never allow himself to be outdone in generosity. On the contrary, he always gives more than is given him. Be unrelenting, therefore, in devoting yourself to his love and glory. The English woman, who was drowned at Montmichel, went straight to heaven. She had the necessary contrition at the moment of death, and at the same time the baptism of desire. All this happened through the intervention of Saint Michael. What a happy shipwreck! About Father P, who is retired, Saint Michael is not pleased about that. But God leaves one free. He wishes to have in his service only those who serve him willingly, without ever looking back. Tell Father P, God wants him to continue with great courage to accomplish all that he has undertaken for his sake. Tell him to be prudent and not undertake more than his strength will allow. I am praying for all his intentions, and as I told you before, I pray for him as I do for you. Pius IX went straight to heaven. He had his purgatory on earth. How do you know, MP, went straight to heaven, as you did not see her pass through purgatory? God made this known to me. It is through his goodness that I know the things you ask me, when I have not seen or experienced them myself. The justice of God keeps us in purgatory, and we deserve it, but his mercy and his fatherly heart does not leave us here bereft of all consolation. We ardently desire complete union with Jesus, but he desires it almost as much as we do. On earth, he sometimes communicates himself to certain souls in a most intimate manner, and he delights in revealing his secrets to them. The souls that receive these favors are those that seek to please him in all their conduct, and who live and breathe only for Jesus, and try to please him. There are in purgatory very culpable souls, but they are repentant, and notwithstanding the sins they have to expiate, they are confirmed in grace, and can no longer sin. They are perfected as the soul is purified by degrees in this place of expiation. The soul understands God better, without, however, the soul seeing God, because then there would no longer be any purgatory. If in purgatory we did not know God better than he is known on earth, our suffering would not be so keen and our martyrdom so cruel. Our main torment is the absence of him who is the sole object of our long-endured desires. The three friends of VP have been in heaven for a long time.